Welcome to Belated Tech Musings. We're counting down our picks for the best documentaries everyone should see on YouTube that were uploaded in 2019.
China in 1985, a time when China's population crisis was making headlines around the world.
To be a bully.
He thought of himself as the sheriff in town.
He scared people in the same way a gangster would.
Before we begin, be sure to click on the subscribe button so you don't miss the next top 10 list or any of the tech review videos we upload several times a month to the BTM channel. For this list, we are reviewing those documentaries that are particularly innovative in their niche, make excellent use of the YouTube medium, are particularly educational or entertaining, or make us think a little bit harder about what we thought we knew. We are not including political documentaries in this list, as those videos are in a class all their own. Since this is our first list, videos from prior years were eligible. So lean back in your chair, enjoy our opening montage of seminal moments in movies and videos, and then see who we picked as our favorites. Number 10. Where are all the Bob Ross paintings? We found them. Bob Ross, the iconic PPS art instructor and painter, produced his show, The Joy of Painting, for 11 years from 1983 to 1994. Despite the show's end, his popularity never really waned and has actually enjoyed a resurgence with the advent of the internet and the ubiquity of his shows and the people trying to imitate him on YouTube.
Is one of the most iconic American painters of the 20th century. He's best known for his perm, personality, and landscape paintings. The problem is, no one knows where they are.
I'll be your host as we experience the joy of painting.
But if you want to buy a Bob Ross, you can't. And that doesn't mean people haven't tried. A lot have. And a lot's been written about it too. Because frankly, it doesn't make sense.
But even though his death was almost 25 years ago, not one of his paintings has ever been sold to the public. In fact, no one knows where his paintings are. PPS doesn't have them, and neither does any of the museums that are keenly interested in acquiring one. The New York Times set out to find out what happened to Ross's paintings. What actually happened to them might surprise you. Number 9. Rebuilding a wrecked 2017 Dodge Viper. YouTube is filling up with salvage and repair videos of wrecked cars. While all these videos are entertaining and educational, one particular series caught our eye: AlexRebuilds Viper Reconstruction.
Now you may be thinking this is something impossible to do and this is only what the factory does, but you are wrong. The Viper is basically like a kit car. Everything is on just bolts and rivets. The doors, quarter panels, roof, the firewall, everything is just on bolts and rivets. There is not going to be any welding or anything required. So I know it's going to be a process and it's probably going to take me a while, but it's going to be a fun, interesting project to basically, I guess, build the car ground up, literally from a frame up. So I'm going to have to transfer everything. So yeah, guys.
The 2017 Dodge Viper is anything but a mass-produced unibody car. It's more like a giant Tinker Toy kit. AlexRebuilds has to remove every bolt, panel, screw, hose, bracket, and wire from the old frame and move it to a new one, replacing broken components on the way. It is a crazy rebuild, and an enjoyable one. Number 8. Russian Circular Warships. Think you know ships and shipbuilding? Think again. In 1869, 4 years after the end of the American Civil War, in which ironclad monitors made their appearance in naval warfare, Rear Admiral Andrei Popov of the Imperial Russian Navy designed a circular monitor of 110 feet in diameter. That's right, circular.
She would be launched in 1873 and welcomed into service in 1874. Because anti-fouling paint had still not been perfected, an extra layer of wood with copper sheathing was added during the build, pushing the overall diameter of the ship up to 101 feet. The wood being needed to insulate the copper from the iron to prevent a galvanic battery being formed and the ship electrolyzing itself out of existence in seawater.
Two of these behemoths were actually built by the Tsar's Navy, and Documentaries recounts their war record and eventual fates. Number 7. The Last Dukes. English, Irish, and Scottish history is replete with the towering deeds of dukes, the rank of nobility only second to the king or queen themselves. Dukes have figured prominently in civil wars, epic battles against foreign foes, and even the founding of new houses of monarchs. But for the last 2 centuries, a succession of queens and kings have been content to let the number of dukes dwindle. The last ducal title not for the royal family, created 119 years ago. 74 dukedoms have been created in all of United Kingdom history, but less than 24 not bestowed on royals remain, and not all these surviving dukes have heirs. This BBC documentary takes a look at several fated dukedoms and the heirs or ineligible heirs that have descended from them. Number 6. Who makes money from professional poker? Poker has become big business with tens of thousands of professional players and millions of amateurs. The World Series of Poker has come to symbolize the big payoff possible in poker, where anyone with little moxie, a lot of brains, and a good memory has a shot at the top prize.
I think everybody's just chasing those big 6-figure, 7-figure scores.
But poker is a game of high risk.
It's worse than the stock market to a very significant degree.
And high reward.
I took home about $700,000.
That money was won despite never entering a casino.
Poker is for sure not always what it seems.
It makes it sexier when you think that a player's taking home, $10 million. In reality, a lot of these players aren't taking home even half that sometimes.
But in reality, the world of professional poker functions with a whole different set of rules, not visible to the public, many of which are absolutely gut-wrenching. Number 5. Hugo Boss's Secret Nazi History. One of today's most iconic fashion brands was founded by a man who was neither a tailor or a designer, but he was an opportunist.
Hugo Boss was responsible for producing uniforms for the Nazi Party.
And in 1945, Hugo was arrested. The Americans put these people on trial.
The newest and most reactionary political party in the Weimar Republic needed uniforms. Lots of uniforms. And when that party took over the country by fiat in 1933, an explosion in the need for uniforms ensued. The rest is gruesome history. Number 4. History of Forgotten Mints. Coin enthusiasts and numismatics alike know that U.S. coins are minted in Denver, Philadelphia, San Francisco, and West Point. But did you know that obscure locations like Dahlonega, Georgia, and Carson City, Nevada, used to have their own mints as well?
Congress chose Philadelphia, then the U.S. Capitol, as the location of the first mint, and President Washington chose David Rittenhouse, a renowned American scientist, to direct it. The mint was the first federal building erected under the Constitution, and the building was eventually emblazoned with the words, "Ye Old Mint."
The History Guide gives an entertaining recounting of these locations and several more that sported mints to take advantage of local precious metal discoveries or to provide coins for parts of the country far away from the major U.S. mints. Number 3. Why doesn't the U.S. use the metric system? It seems like the United States uses English measurement units for everything instead of metric. Gallons, miles, inches, ounces, pounds, and scores of other obscure names not used almost anywhere else in the world.
At the time, the United States, having already become one of the first nations in the world to adopt a decimal base 10 system for currency, was strongly considering doing the same for their system of weights and measures. The idea was to get rid of the mix of British weights and measures that were mixed with other systems that were commonly used throughout the young nation.
Today I Found Out explores why, at least in public areas, the US doesn't use liters, kilometers, centimeters, and kilograms. The answers to these questions will surprise you. Number 2. America's biggest bank. JP Morgan Chase is the United States' largest bank and one of the largest in the world. How it got that way is a fascinating story in itself, as well as the biography of the founder, John Pierpont Morgan.
It's the largest bank in America, more than $2 trillion in assets.
Right now, they're also the biggest bank in the world by market capitalization.
From the panic of 1907 to 2007, the subprime mortgage crisis and the financial collapse thereafter, JP Morgan Chase has been at the center of American banking for over a century.
The bank was instrumental in solving several financial crises of the country in the era before the establishment of the U.S. Federal Reserve. The bank remains as relevant today as ever, as demonstrated by its actions during the 2007 financial crisis that started the Great Recession. Number 1. The Fallen of World War II. If this video doesn't make the hairs in the back of your neck stand on end, you're probably not paying attention. Holleran makes excellent use of infographics, both 2- and 3-dimensionally. The video recounts the combat and civilian deaths of World War II, putting them into context, people and places, as where and time they died.
And we'll begin with American soldiers. Over 400,000 died. Most of the deaths occurred in the European theater, fighting the Nazis. And about a quarter were in the Pacific, fighting the Japanese. When you put them on
the stupendous human cost of the war really comes into focus, as well as the war's place in recent human history in terms of loss to human population and in total lives lost. The soundtrack adds to the solemn presentation of the video. The documentary is grim, and is intended to be. Do you agree with our picks? Let us know what you think below. Click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to click on the bell so you're notified of new videos. Check out our other videos from the BTM channel, and we'll see you soon for another Top 10 list.